And here we are once again with Rick and Aldafa from Days of the Dead. Days of the Dead, Chicago, Schaumburg, 2017 is right around the corner. And, clue us in. What's going on with that?
You want to hit the points?
Yeah, November 17th through the 19th, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We're going to have an extensive guest list involving several horror icons as well as pop culture icons, wrestling, panels, entertainment, all weekend long, parties, the whole deal. You want to hit them with the celebs?
Yeah. Just off the top, Sean Astin from Stranger Things and Lord of the Rings, Fairuza Balk, Dee Snider, Phil Anselmo, Sid Haig, of course. We got some of the classics like Kane Hodder, our fan favorites. We have a full Hellraiser 2 reunion, which is pretty exciting. A couple of old school WWE Tag Team Champions with Demolition, as well as the Rock and Roll Express, who were just led into the Hall of Fame this past year. And just a smorgasbord of celebrity guests from all aspects of horror. Whether you're into stuff from the 70s, 80s, 90s, or just recently. So, I mean, any sort of flavor that you could attune your taste to, we got you covered.
Very good. It's always good to see Sid Haig back there.
Yeah.
I remember he won the lifetime membership.
He did, so we got to keep bringing him back.
Yeah, that's always good. And now those guys is that new Rob Zombie film actually in production right now, or?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. I've heard they're involved with it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think they're starting to write for it and do like some early shooting for it's. I don't know if it's going to be a sequel or a prequel, but it's going to be tied in with House of a Thousand and Devil's Rejects. So that's pretty exciting. I think that's why Mosley can't make it. He won't say for sure.
Okay.
But I have a suspicion that's what it
might be tied to. We just had an alderman on last night, and he couldn't say for sure either. So. That's usually a dead giveaway.
Right.
Yeah, Mosley's been leading up to some things on his social media, though, so he's cluing you in a little bit, but...
And he's got the beard going on.
Yeah, the beard, yeah.
The beard is a little bit of a giveaway.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I always forget, because he's had the beard for a while now.
Yeah. He started growing it out in Louisville, which was in September, and then now it's getting there. It's longer than yours, for sure. But I have a feeling that there might be some Otis coming back, so I think that's what that's all about.
I want to see that.
Well, you actually didn't, the Devil's Rejects just sort of cut off. You didn't see whatever happened,
Yeah, I mean, they could have survived it,
Yeah, well, of course, it's a monster
well,
movie.
Yeah.
they always survive.
Jason's been through worse.
Yeah, right? He's been through everything. And, and then you've got your Hellraiser, that thing going on. That's
I am so
really
excited for
show.
that. That's one of my favorite classic, to me, horror series. So Hellraiser is a really big one for me.
Yeah, we've done the Hellraiser cast in a couple other cities before, and we've been wanting to do it in Chicago, and we had the addition of Andrew Robinson too from the first one. So it's got most of two, a little bit from one. Unfortunately, Grace Kirby doesn't do shows, but that's. I'm with you on that. That's one of my favorite, classic horror movies from the 80s. In terms of when you look at what they got away with on just pure gore and how good the practical effects were, and just how I think they really nailed Clive Barker's sort of mix between sexuality and horror, and it's such a perfect film, I think.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember seeing the first one for the first time on the big screen.
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah, it was.
It still is intense.
Yeah, it is. It makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it should. It's supposed to.
Yeah, it's unlike anything you ever see in the commentary that's running behind that, like all the inner dialogue and knowing it's Clive Barker and then the time it came out, it's saturated in just such a dark undertone. So it's truly a favorite. And unlike anything else you've ever seen, or there's still stuff that doesn't really make that impact.
Yeah, that's right. It did. It was hope, leaps and bounds away from the Friday the 13th, Halloween, or even Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I'm as big of a Freddy mark as I am, I'd probably have to say that if I had to choose one, it'd probably be the Hellraiser franchise. I even like some of the later ones too that went direct to video that are kind of hitting. I even like those. So
I do too.
That's my cup of tea.
What a great cast of creeps in that one. Just the weird leather outfits or vinyl or whatever, the black and the, Pinhead and all the deformed creatures.
The
All the
Cenobites.
You wouldn't want them visiting your bedroom in the middle of the night.
Yeah. Or I don't know. Maybe you're into a little bit.
Yeah,
of that.
maybe you're into it. I don't know. I'm sure
Yeah.
somebody out there would be into that, huh? It was funny a couple years back because the bar was really busy and everybody was hanging out. That's what's cool. They were all hanging out, and we were looking for a space at the bar.
Is that Days of the Dead? You're
Days
saying?
of the
Okay.
Dead,
Cool.
yeah.
All right.
Your
Cool.
show, of course. And anyway, so we're looking for spaces at the bar, and all of a sudden there's three of us. There's three spaces, and I look, and Doug Bradley's, right next to one of the empty chairs, and I just took Lilith and put her, here, sit over here.
And I
I'm
didn't
like-
even notice at first, and I look over, I'm like, oh, it's Doug Bradley. Oh my god.
He can kill a scotch with the best of them.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I could tell.
Everybody there.
And he's very unassuming. Like it took me a long time to put the two together that he is Pinhead, because he just doesn't. I don't see it through the. I don't see him through the makeup, even though, there's not. I don't think there's a big facial prosthetic.
Well, it's once they become animated in the part, and we just kind of had. I seen a good example of that this past weekend. Baron von Reschke, the wrestler, and he was real just normal and everything. And someone asked him to do his shtick, and he goes into it and he's doing like his body language. He's jerking around and making different moves and stuff. And it was just like, okay, now you've become the character. Now you've animated it. Otherwise, you're just a regular dude.
Yeah, he went full. He went full into the gimmick and just
Yeah,
kind of turned.
all
it
into the gimmick. That's great stuff to see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Why don't we mention the blue track? I heard you guys are getting involved in Days of the Dead as well. You got a little
How
something
about
going on.
that?
Why don't you
Yeah.
tell us
I
about
have
that?
to say that Blue Track is one of my favorite things that's been an addition to Days of the Dead. I'm really excited about the fact that you have panels that are talking about everything from the freak show panel I went to at Indianapolis to the wonderful panel that the Doctor and I will be hosting, the Haunted History of Horror hosts. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, there's a lot of story about the horror hosting. I don't know. There's several stories I like to tell, and one of them is definitely about Ghoulardi's rise in Cleveland in '63 and how popular that was. And he was doing baseball game appearances and all kinds of stuff back when television really was the booming thing. Of course, this is '63, '64, so you got the Beatles going on. The Aurora monster kits are coming out. The shock package of Universal Films was released that enabled all these horror hosts. But Ernie Anderson was this incredible talent. He did everything on the station, and then he had he worked with one other guy. Basically, it was those two. That was Tom Conway, who got discovered, changed his name to Tim Conway, went out to Hollywood, and then he brought Ernie to Hollywood. So Ernie left Ghoulardi, he just was done, and he left Cleveland. But then he became like the voiceover guy for just about everything on ABC. And the Love Boat and all that.
So you're starting from the way back,
He's
and,
going
and
OG.
how far are you going? Are you going to leave a little for the next one, or?
I'm a little nervous about
Yeah, but that was like 5 minutes of it. So
Yeah.
you almost like that was the trailer.
Yeah,
that's
You could
a
just cut that as a
of what
teaser.
you're gonna
Yeah,
get.
that is a teaser.
I'm sold.
and it's,
Friday night.
I'm just worried that it's just going to be a little bit of a, we're in somebody's territory in Chicago, and a lot of people think they had the only guy.
No.
Yeah, no.
So-
I think the
Some know,
audience
but-
Days of the Dead is its own separate
well, no, the Days
island.
of the Dead audience
like,
probably will be different than the people I.
He's talking about the Sven guy.
Yeah,
oh,
that's
yeah.
fine. We're going to be talking about the original Sven Gulli. He was the first horror host I ever laid eyes on for a short time, and he was the only one. And he came in the height of my interest. Well, I guess it stayed with me, but as a kid, he actually came to the Roosevelt Theater, and I got to meet him. And it was just, I saw him in color, which was weird because I was watching on a black and white television, and I might have a black and white television to have on display showing those clips. I think it would be really cool.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
With the great technology we have, with video and screens and everything, to show something on a 12-inch black and white TV instead.
Yeah, that sounds
so
cool.
you've seen it it won't be snowy, hopefully, though. We don't need that, but
Yeah, no, I think for once we're not having like a natural disaster occurring during the weekend.
I hope so.
Knock on
oh
wood.
right,
Knock
yeah,
on
you even go.
wood.
No, I meant snowy television.
Oh, I thought you meant-
that's before your time, maybe.
No. I mean, it
Yeah.
always seems like last year it was like a foot of snow, and then
Right.
the year before we had the tornadoes, and then the year before that it was something else.
Oh, last year wasn't the snow. That was 2 years ago.
Was it 2 years ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, it was 2 years ago. Last
Last year it
okay.
was like the There was something last year. It
there's-
seems like every year there's always
Well, yeah, we're
probably that.
we're in that season. We're definitely.
I think it was rainy and cold.
rainy and cold.
Yeah, it turns on that when that show comes through. It is like the weather decides to revolt, just like pretty much all of us in that hotel.
Okay.
It's like
all
Mother
right.
Nature trying to keep us down.
Sure.
Well, why
sure.
don't you pitch Days of the Dead one more time? Where it's going to be? What's happening? It's
Right on.
coming up.
Yeah, you can go to daysofthedead.com to find out. Our Chicago show is happening next weekend, November 17th, 18th, and 19th at the Chicago Schaumburg Marriott. We got celebrities. We got film screenings all weekend long, Q&A panels, seminars, the Blue Track that was mentioned, and parties galore. So come out, bring the family, bring yourself, and have a good time.
All right, Ghoulies, we'll see you there. Days of the Dead 2017, Schaumburg.